Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking this time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Leadership and the Brand. Leadership and the Brand. We are keeping with the messages on leadership until the Lord tells me otherwise. So, when we think of brand, we think of a number of different brand names. Some of you all have your favorite sodas, and so there is a brand that you enjoy to drink. There is a brand of clothing that you like to wear. There may be a certain brand of a car that you like to drive, but a brand is simply the name. It is what represents whatever the product or service might be. You nowadays, depending on what industry you are in, might be a brand. You're not so much a human being, but a product or a service. And so when someone sells your name as a brand, the buyer is hoping to get a quality product or service, and not so much the human being, even though if you do come with that product or service, that's a plus, and you can always charge more money like a celebrity does. Okay. Now, here's the main issue with leaders and brands. The main issue when we look at it from a spiritual perspective is that there is no wisdom in marketing. There is no God moving to be able to create that connection, that relationship to the brand, or even with the leadership. Sometimes leaders have to step from behind the desk and get out there and connect with the people. One brand that comes to mind is a pizza company that decided years ago to create commercials where they feature the CEO of the company. They were connecting with the people using a face that had been behind the scenes for many years. Okay. So the brand name of the pizza, in addition to the leader talking about it, promoting it, talking about how they wanted to improve the product based on what the customer's feedback was one of those groundbreaking advertising moments in history. This was a good thing. It was a beneficial thing, and it was going to bring an old brand back to life again. Okay? Now, once the transference of power has taken place because an old leader has either passed away or is no longer interested in working for the company, or the company terminated or laid him off, once this transference takes place, there just might be some baggage that is left behind from the old way of thinking, from the old leadership. Okay. And depending on what that person did, might have elevated the brand in some way or caused problems for the people associated with the brand, cause people who are consumers to frown upon the brand and go off with the competitor somewhere. Okay. It is crucial that when one is in leadership, he or she pays close attention to any potential problems. And if one doesn't do that, then he or she is going to be inundated with a bunch of issues. And what better way than to break a leader in is to give them a bunch of issues from the start date. So now he or she is so focused on all the problems that they don't have much time to think about other stuff that will need their attention, possibly sooner rather than later. Okay? The brand is so significant anymore to so many different establishments. And when people don't uphold the brand, don't respect the brand, don't even understand what the brand is, what's the objective, businesses fail, people lose jobs, money declines, you name it, all sorts of problems take place. Okay. Now, from a spiritual perspective, if I was to get God involved in my leadership, and if I was to get God involved in the brand, what might I come up with? That's a question for some of you all who consider yourselves to be men and women of faith. What are you really trying to do with the brand other than sell more product, more service? Are you trying to be a household name? It would make sense to interview the people, to look at what other brands have done in your industry, to be long lasting, to be quality types of individuals, businesses, and so forth. Now, leadership is going to come with a price that some people cannot pay, cannot deal with, and so they bail out quite quickly. I got to do what in order to salvage the brand? You want me to say what? You want me? Oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to exaggerate. I don't even like this brand. Well, why do you even have the job? Right? So there's a weeding out that takes place early on in this leadership and branding and marketing and promoting. And those people who can't cut it, well, they get pushed off to the side, terminated, or they end up taking other positions, okay? It isn't easy being a leader and having to maintain a brand. And those that think it is, well, I must say that they need to spend more time doing some marketing in places that aren't so comfy and cozy, and then they will be able to see the light. Okay, some people like to stick to one way of advertising, one way of marketing because it works. But then at some point, that particular way starts to die down. It's not as effective, and now the leader has to scramble around to come up with another way to market his or her brand. Okay? If the brand was to, let's say, promote a sinful lifestyle, and let's just say that the company is in fact Christian, it won't be long before a bunch of folks will be talking about how that company is no good and they have people who are doing all sorts of crooked things. And now somebody is going to have to come up with a comprehensive plan to save the brand. Okay? If you are in fact a believer with two major obstacles, one dealing with, let's say, something related to your leadership, and the other one dealing with something dealing with your brand, and it's not so great, you're going to have to do some serious praying and asking the Lord what it is that you're supposed to be doing to propel your brand, to be that leader who is really moving and shaking and getting some things done. I would not approach any type of job that involves a lot of people, in addition to having to save a brand, without some wisdom, which comes from God, without some knowledge, which comes from books that maybe you've never read before, things that you've never considered, people who have more experience in an area than you do. Okay? Image is everything for a lot of folks. So they're very particular about what is in the search engine about them. And they're very funny about who they talk to and who needs to know this, that, and the other about them. But whatever the case may be, the main issue is that if you are going to be a leader, your responsibility is to keep up with the brand. Okay? I thank you so much, as always, for taking the time out to listen. Please do check the description box for anything related to your situation. If you haven't subscribed, please do today. And I thank you so much for taking this time out to listen. To God be the glory.